just, snowballed into thinking, oh, this is a good works organization, this is what we do fingerprinting and all this stuff for children, and, supposedly all these good works, and never really knowing what the lodge is involved in, because they have the bigger lodges and lodges separately for the ultimate elite, the serpent seed line evil, to actually run, and they just use these other lodges to fund them, soak them all of their money and their time, and there's no way. I used to argue with people all the time about it, because so many people try to tell me that Freemasonry is a Christian organization. When you're in the very first level, first of all, the Bible forbids taking oaths. And so we are forbidden to take oaths to any secret society, any kind of society, because we're forbidden by the Bible to take oaths. And so when you have 56,000 Southern Baptist ministers touting that they're Freemasons, they're actually just telling everybody, hey, we don't care what the Bible says, we just took an oath to join Freemasonry, because it's exactly what they did. And when you join the first level, one of the very first things that you have to repeat after me type things is that they were in darkness, and now by joining Freemasonry, they're in the light. See, they referred to God, the God of light in Freemasonry. They never call it a name until you get to the higher levels. This God is not known as Lucifer at the lower levels. It's just a God of light. And so that's what these Freemasons think they're worshiping, the God of light. Then they bring out the KJVs, and everybody thinks, oh, we're talking about God. It's all deception. But in the first rank of Freemasonry, they're repeating after me and stating that they were in darkness and now they're in light. Well, if you are a born-again believer, you've already accepted the Lord, you've made a public confession that you're a child of the Lord's, you've accepted Him as your Savior, and then you go into this lodge, you go, I was in darkness. I mean, that's blasphemy, folks. So these people realize what they're saying, what they're doing. So they're sitting there in a public confessional type thing anyway, because there's usually a handful of men there, Freemasonry, the boys' club, and they sit there and tell them that they were in darkness before. Okay, so they're born-again Christians, but before they were in darkness. But now that they're going to join Freemasonry, they're going to be brought into the light. That's blasphemy. It's calling that their relationship with the Lord was in darkness. And not to mention the various different belts and ranks that they have to rise through. Every level you take a satanic oath of some kind or another, and every level you get more and more of blaspheming the Lord and renouncing your own faith and religion. And I don't know if half these people realize what they're saying in these things, but they just repeat after me and they say whatever they're told to say. But they're still held accountable, folks. You're still held accountable. Every idle word is not gone unnoticed. You want to be accountable. You should see the Bible codes at the in-depth lengths that I work them. I can go through 50 to 60,000 words in one code, and I can totally verify that every little thing we do is recorded. Every little thing you do. Even if you think it's so insignificant that the Lord would not be paying attention, is recorded. It's recorded. We literally must have armies of angels that follow each person on earth, because I don't know how they do it. We know God's omniscient, and He knows everything, and He's omnipotent. He can be everywhere. But I'll tell you what, they do. Everything you've done, everything you've said is recorded. And so that's something to think about. I mean, I'm glad at this point, a lot of times, usually when I see it in the Bible codes, I just get a good laugh about it. Something I did. Usually in regards to the last several years, just in the war against Satan and his kingdom. It's a very live war. It's not something that's just, silent behind the scenes. It's a very active and ongoing war. And the Lord knows all those who are involved and all those who are His. He knows what His people are doing. He knows what kind of believer you are in Him. He knows if you're a church pew Sunday Christian that ignores the Sabbath on Saturday, or if you're an active believer in Him, you really love Him enough to have sought Him for the truth so that He could pull you out of the errors and apostasies going on in the churches today. Only those who truly love Him are the ones that He can work with. He can't help you if you're telling Him, I know everything. He can't help you. He allows you to stay in errors. Now, if you just one day get fed up and say, that's it, I'm tired of it, I see all these abominations and all these religions, everybody's got their own viewpoint, everybody picks apart and chooses what they want to believe in the Bible and what they don't, and they start another church on the corner. We don't even have any corners left. There's so many differences. And you just say, I've had enough, Lord, now you teach me everything. I'm just going to let you teach me. You teach me. I'm throwing out everything I've ever learned from man, and I want you to teach me. And those are the ones the Lord can work with, because they realize and they admit, I don't know everything. I want you to teach me, Lord. Those are the ones he can work with. They're humble. And aren't his people, isn't one of the traits of the Lord's people supposed to be that they're humble? You know, I was thinking today, I was working out in the garage, and I'm thinking, there's just so many Christians I don't even want to be around in heaven. How could I actually call myself a believer when there's so many I don't want to be around? There's this, you know, I don't like those people. I don't like those people. I just want to be around a particular type of people. And what came to my mind was the fact that, you know what, the Lord always had, there's two different types of people, and it doesn't go unnoticed as in two types of believers. There's the givers and there's the takers. And the givers are the type that would give you the shirt off their back. And those are the people I just love the most, because they just have you can tell they have a heart for the Lord. Everything they do is for him. There's nothing about me. There's no ego. There's no selfishness. And those are the people I could live day and night with. Those are the people I would choose to go on a mission anywhere in the universe that the Lord wanted me to send me on. Those are the kinds of people I would take with me in a heartbeat. You know? And then you look at the other types of Christians, because I hear from this crowd more than I ever do the other one. It's gimme. The gimme crowd. They're just takers. They want everything. They want it now. They want, you know, and they don't want to give you anything but a headache. And so you have the give me crowd, and then you have the other crowd that would just give you the shirts off their backs. There's totally two different crowds of people. And it reminded me of the Lord and how he loved James and John. And everybody knows that the Lord had a special love for his apostles, his brothers, James and John, were also fellow apostles. And also King David. He loved David. He loved Enoch. Enoch walked with the Lord. Enoch was translated in heaven in a chariot. Enoch never saw death. Elijah never saw death, but Elijah prayed for death. Elijah wanted off the earth. He'd had enough. He'd had enough, and I know exactly how Elijah feels. And so the Lord translated him. He did not die. He was translated as well. And so you have Enoch and Elijah, both of these great prophets, patriarchs, never saw death. They were translated off of the earth. And of course the Bible talks about these two returning in the last days, Enoch and Elijah. And so that would be interesting. You know, when you see them, it's over. I mean, you see Maitreya, it's over. When you see those two, I just want to be by their side. I'd never want to leave them. I don't think I'll be here for that, but that would be something to see those two. I know the churches teach Moses is returning, and I was like, why is Moses died? God buried him on the mountain. And they keep going on for years and years. Oh, Moses is one of the witnesses returning. He is not. Even if it was a literal returning, which I believe it is. I know some people don't, some people do, and it's just kind of one of those things that I just leave up in the air. I can go with either interpretation until I see what's happening myself. But I do believe that they're going to return, because the Bible, John specifically talks about how their bodies will lie in the streets of Jerusalem. And I find it interesting that not only John's book, the book of Revelation, which was the last book written, and he was exiled on an island in Patmos, and where he died, he had no contact with anybody else. He didn't know what was going on in the outside world. But some of the books that sprang up after he had died, the book of Nicodemus talks about the return of Enoch and Elijah. I was reading that last night, and I go, there it is, because I always get the reference wrong. I always say it's Nicodemus, but I always got the reference wrong to exactly where it was in Nicodemus. It's a very small book anyway. But he talks about their return, and so I thought that was interesting. A lot of these early writings that were accepted as legitimate and truthful and accurate books, denounced by the Constantine Church and not put in. Why wasn't Enoch put in? Why wasn't Jasher put in? Enoch walked with God. Enoch wrote 365 books. How many do we have today? 2? And his books are found in the Dead Sea Scrolls, along with some of these other books that the church has renounced. So you can think, why didn't the church canonize those books? Why would they canonize Matthew and Mark